So hello everyone, here is the Beazy Podcast back after a very long hiatus. We are trying now to do something more different, trying to bring some guests. And today we have our first guest, which happened to be also the co-founders of Beazy. So I have with me, I'm Rafael, and I'm here with Jonas and Julia. I will let you guys introduce yourself, talk a little bit. Let's start, ladies first. Let's start with Julia.
Hello, I'm Julia. I'm the co-founder of Beazy since 2019. I'm French and Dutch, and we met in Switzerland, and now we're living in Berlin.
Yes, my name is Jonas. I'm one of the co-founders as well, the CEO of Beazy, and I'm from Switzerland as well. Switzerland and Mozambique. We started in Switzerland, and the rest the same, I guess. Yeah.
It's history.
Yeah. But you guys, besides founders, you're also creatives, right? You did, for example, Julia, you did photography for a while, right?
Yeah, I used to do a lot of photography. I do less now since we started, but I also did a few modeling gigs, and I like to do anything related to art, so crafts, illustrations, anything in that area.
Yeah, no, for me, I think we met around photography actually, so that was the really cool thing. So for me, I was doing a lot of free running, so jumping on the roofs and stuff around in Switzerland, and then because of that, kind of got into photography for a little while, and so we then met around photography. But to be honest, I haven't shot in like 2 years at least, you know. So right now it kind of unfortunately went away a little bit. We didn't have too much time, but yeah, and then you still have like all the drawing things and digital art and a bunch of other things.
So we're still in that industry, in that space.
Bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, I myself, I'm also a freelancer, photographer, filmmaker, and FPV drone pilot, as in the last year or so, which is, it's pretty exciting. So we all have different backgrounds, but we are all somehow creatives. And yeah, now let's talk about, Beazy. What is Beazy? How do we explain to the audience that might be listening to us for the first time? What exactly is Beazy? What do you guys do?
I was just gonna say maybe on the thing of the team. I think I just realized I think we're 8 people right now, and pretty much everyone has like a creative something, either photography, filmmaking, or like something else. So that's just pretty cool that kind of everybody in the team kind of got that similar thing. But then yes, on what is Beazy? So Yeah, okay. So the platform, I guess, so Beazy is pretty simple. So it's a platform, we're a big community of creatives, and it's a platform for media production. So it's a bunch of tools. You have access to a lot of other creatives. We have some events, and we try to do many different things, in short, just to kind of make life of creatives much more simple, so that people can just focus on what they do best, I guess, and not have to worry about all the other things. There's many things in there, but I guess we'll just talk about them a little bit later.
Yeah, we're just, in short, we're just trying to be creatives' best friends. So do anything we can do in our resort to just support them in their daily creative lives and offer them the tools and the support that they need to work.
Yeah, and I know that by tools, people can think about many different things. Of what are the few things that Beazy offer that makes the creative life easier?
I think on one side you kind of have like the marketplace, I guess. So this is where you can go, for example, to book different things. So all the things the physical things or people or whatever that you might need to actually work. So for example, you can go and search for other photographers, makeup artists, set designers, stylists, directors, etc. You can also go and book, for example, equipment. So pretty much all the equipment you might need, I guess, from rental shops or from other private individuals, so other creatives, you know, so you can kind of keep the money in the community, etc. That is pretty cool. And then as well, you can rent studios. So by studios, it's like professional photo studios, but also like co-working space, restaurants, private homes, apartments. I think we have like a full building. There's like even a bunker or something, I guess, on the platform. So that is pretty cool. There's some villas and there's some different things. So that is kind of like the marketplace side of things. And then the tools, it's like more. Do you want to explain?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just on the marketplace thing is really two-sided. So you can either upload your own things and use it to make money by sharing your own equipment, but we also have the other way around where you can just rent the stuff that you need from other creatives on the community, like Jonas was saying. On the tool side, we're trying to offer all the software support that we can for creatives. So anything they need to manage their projects in general. So you have a media gallery where you can upload all your files. We have a little flagging system where you can just communicate with your clients better to select the files that you want to work on, the final files, whatever. We have a little bookkeeping system, in short, calendar, task management, everything related to your daily tasks as a creative when you start working on projects?
The shot list and the storyboard, those are pretty cool.
List,
Yeah. I think that's maybe my favorite one, or just maybe with the shot list and storyboards, I guess, the tasks, where you can invite more people and collaborate with other people on the project. So the tasks are pretty basic in a sense, like normal task stuff. You can assign tasks to different people with due dates, etc. But since it's inside the project, so you can kind of collaborate with everybody else, upload files and all those different things. And then the CRM, so just kind of like contact list, I guess, having all your contacts in one place, and you can really easily add people, invite more people, reach out, keep track of your clients, collaborators, all those different things. And probably more stuff coming soon. I hope we'll see about that, hopefully.
Yeah, that's very exciting. It looks like it's everything that you might need to make your creative project come to life. But I know for a fact that it didn't start with exactly this thing in mind, and it was a long process to get to where you guys are now. So would you mind sharing a bit how it all started, how Beazy came, the first idea?
So at first I was still studying in Switzerland, and I ended up meeting Jonas during a photo shoot. And we started brainstorming because we had lots of ideas on how to make the world a better place. So we started thinking about lots of ideas, and then we ended up coming with the idea of this massive sharing platform for all types of equipment and also services. In order to get that started, we decided that photography equipment was something that we knew best and that would make sense to build a sharing platform that would support that kind of sharing, because it's extremely expensive. We were students, we were broke. There's no way we could afford like a 1,500 euro lens at no point. So sharing it was just what made sense to us. And we started with equipment only. So we had just this very, very basic platform, just allowing you to just rent it out, kind of like a very fancy spreadsheet. And from there, it kind of escalated quite fast. So we won support in Switzerland, like grants, extra money from the school. And from there, we just ran away to Berlin, where we knew there was an existing strong creative community. And we started building the community there.
Can I add on? Because you made it sound way nicer than it was. It was not that nice. We started with like the equipment and stuff, because we're broke and stuff, and like the it's expensive and all that stuff. But like that lasted like 10 minutes, and then we started adding extra stuff on top of it. It was a fucking mess. I said it again, but so, sorry for the swear words. But so no, it was a big mess, I guess, because then we called that the Amazon of the sharing economy. So there was like much more than just the creative side of things. Because at this point, if we're building the platform, might as well just add everything you can think of. And so that was a mess, but it was technically with that project that we won the social impact award and 10,000 Swiss francs from her engineering school. So we kind of took that money, ran away to Berlin. When we arrived in Berlin, like February 2019 or something like this, that's when we realized, okay, let's just go back to the first idea, which like to focus on what we knew best, which was photography and filmmaking at that point. So we kind of took everything away, and then that was kind of an Airbnb for photo and video equipment. So kind of made it sound a little bit nicer.
Of course, I'm trying. But then, the idea, when we arrived here, we knew absolutely no one. We didn't speak German. Like, it was complicated. But then our first idea was to start hosting an event for photographers and creatives in the community. So we just posted that on Meetup, I think, if I recall correctly. We just posted the event, and on the first day, we got there, and there were like over 100 people waiting for us. It was like really overwhelming. So it was just photographers, filmmakers, models, gymnasts, parkour athletes. Everyone was there just to have this huge collaborative photo shoot, basically. So everyone's just running around with their cameras and taking lots of pictures. And I think this built the concept of Beazy, and also it was kind of like how do you call that, the stepping stone of the community, like
exactly. Because at the beginning the idea was really just like we're here in Berlin. I didn't speak German. You spoke a little bit of German. We didn't know anybody, etc. So it was like, how do we meet the first users, and how do we get in front of people, talk to people? What do people want? How can we get better at this, etc. So the event was kind of like the logical idea, and then they just kind of gave way to a bunch of the community things, I guess. Did you come to like the first event, or was it like one of the? Because you came pretty early on those events. I don't know if it was the first one, maybe third or fourth. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I came to the second one of Beazy, and yeah, that's how we met.
Yeah. Because that first one I think was like in the government
District. Yeah.
We got kicked out of like 20 minutes. You know, it's like the cops came and that was.
And then we had a snowstorm,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, it was terrible, but people were really happy and excited, so it was a good moment.
But then we kept on going with those events. So I think we did like over 65 events in 2019. So we kind of built a community of over 3,000 creatives in Berlin. So that was really fun. And so it was really, really nice just to kind of talk to so many people, see that people wanted to come and wanted, we did the first one. It was just like surprising to see that people came. They actually came and they stayed, but then people wanted to do more of those and were even volunteering to do even more and that sort of stuff. And then that's where we met, I think, Daniel as well, that showed up for like the third one. So Daniel is our third co-founder and the CTO as well. So he showed up, I think, to like the second or third event or something like this. We're like, hey guys, I'm a photographer, I'm also a developer, can I help you guys? And so we said yes, and we've been together ever since, I guess. And so that was pretty much almost like all of the team that we still have today, actually. We met in one way or another through the events and through the community and all those different things. And then the community kind of a point gave the direction, because then you get a lot of feedback, like sometimes way too much feedback almost, because everybody has a lot of ideas and lots of suggestions, and everybody was very involved from the beginning. We even had people kind of, volunteering for like accounting and stuff like that, so that was crazy. And that was pretty cool.
Just one tiny little detail is that we were 19 and 20 at a time, so we had no idea about what we were doing. It was just exploration.
Yeah, no, that was fun.
Yeah, but I'm glad that the first idea was doing the event, because I don't know if I mentioned, like me, I'm a CMO at Beazy now, and I came to know these guys because of the events. As I said, like the second event they did was really in the beginning, and I just came, and I was a hobbyist photographer back then. I didn't venture into being actually a freelance photographer and getting paid for my work. I was just in the beginning, and I didn't even had an idea that I would become a filmmaker as well, So it was, I think like Beazy was also a big part of me motivating me to go out and keep shooting, and that's how I became like an active member of the community, let's say, from the beginning. And for me, it was really nice to meet other people, because I was an engineering, like I didn't know anyone in the creative industry, and just going to the events, meeting other people, you just get that motivation. You see what people are doing, you get inspired, and it was a really nice thing for me. And I think that's why we have this community we have today, because even though we wasn't intentionally like, oh, we're doing this to build this great community, it was just a matter of like you guys getting to know the people who you need the platform, it ended up being this strong community.
One of the most exciting and rewarding things for me, just seeing this community grow, is seeing the people that are taking completely different career path. And like in 3-4 years right now, I see people really developing their full career as photographers, but also models. Like there were people that just showed up at our events as wannabe models just one time, and now they are on the cover of Vogue Australia, and you're like, wow, shit is getting real, things are happening. That's really awesome. And it's really rewarding to see that people are really pushing each other up, up the scale. And
I was gonna say the same, like for the rest of the community, like seeing what people are doing, etc. Because I think just 2 days ago we went to see the screening of Rick's film as well, and so that was really just cool. Well, he was already doing crazy stuff way before, but that was just really cool to see. But even just for us, like the motivation, because like I remember at the very beginning, like the very first 2 or 3 events, it was, to be honest, more like a marketing thing, much more like it was just like, okay, how do we get the first users? But I don't think we would have lasted so long, to be honest, if we didn't have the community, because like it's one thing to see progress when you're like seeing numbers on the screen, number of rentals, whatever, but it's not that motivating. But then when you talk to actual people and seeing people actually being happy that they made a rental, or they made some money on Beazy, for example, with the equipment, or they had like a new project going on, or they met somebody, and you see people that met, for example, at one of our events or something like this, and then now you see them shooting together. It's like, okay, we're doing something nice, people were actually helping someone in one way or another, even if it's just like one person, like you can visualize it. It's not, because at the end of the day, like when you get those down moments, I guess. Like you can go on the dashboards and whatever and look 10 rentals, but it doesn't really mean much, right? And so when you talk to people, that's much more motivating. And to be honest, I think a lot of because at that point when we met through photography, like I think you were a little bit more deeper into it, but for me it was more like I got into photography because of free running. So I think a lot of like the passion for photography and the creative fields, etc., kind of started because of free running, and then when I met you, etc. But then without the community, it probably would have, stopped much faster. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I was renting my 16 to 35 to Stella, and it was funny because she rented 2, 3, 4 times, and we were meeting every other week. She invited me to her birthday, and then we hang out together. And even in my birthday, when I go to my birthday, now that I'm already like with Beazy, not as an employee, but like as a member of the community for, I don't know, 4 years. I go to my birthday and I look like half of the people there are from the Beazy community, So it's a really nice way to make friends as well, and especially like when you're like me, like in a totally different field, that most of the people you talk to in your daily basis has nothing to do with the creative industry, and it's just a nice way to connect to people.
Yeah. No, the community is really cool and really important, and I guess right now we got to a point where like we really understood how important it is and how cool it is. So it is really central to everything we do, I guess, right now. At the beginning, it was more of like a marketing thing, and then it was so good and like doing things with other people in real life and online, etc. So we had that whole COVID period, I guess, where there weren't many events happening. But then right now, like we're really trying to put the community at like the center of everything, because it's just really, really nice, I guess. And it even just purely business stuff, and like it just moves everything forward, and just meeting people and interacting with people, everything just makes sense, and happiness is beautiful. And I'm trying to be positive, saying something that's very positive.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned like the COVID times, because as you said, a lot of the marketing efforts, let's say, or a lot of the basis of why you're doing this was the community. And then in 2020 comes COVID, and then you have the restrictions. You can't do events for almost 2 years. So how was this, hiatus? How would you like have to reinvent yourselves or make it through this period without being able to interact, like at least physically, with the community?
Can I start with the positive, maybe?
I was just going to say just a little story actually on how it happened. So the first restrictions happened one day before we had 3 Beazy meets scheduled in 3 different cities in Germany. So we had one in Munich, one in Frankfurt, and one, I don't remember, in Köln or maybe? Yeah, Hamburg. Yeah, Hamburg. And we were about to take the train, and then everything crashed, and it was really stopping us right in our journey. So it was really a hard moment, let's say, but I think we kind of bounced back on that. So we started with, maybe you wanted to say something about the events.
I was just going to say, no, it was just the one positive thing with COVID. It was just that I could work from home the whole time. I didn't have to go anywhere. That was just the one positive. And then the rest, event-wise and community-wise, etc., it wasn't so cool, because like we had a bunch of events planned up, and it was like, as you said, like literally the day before we had started kind of like expanding and growing the community, because there were a bunch of things happening in Berlin, but then of course people come and go in and outside of Berlin, etc. And we wanted this to be like a much bigger thing as well, and like being able to kind of have this first kind of German community, not just Berlin only, and then real European and then global thing, etc. And really make it like a really big community where you could kind of go, hopefully, when you travel especially, kind of go pretty much anywhere and meet other photographers and kind of have these local events happening all over the place. So that was kind of like a big thing we had been dreaming about for a really long time. And then it just kind of, everything just came crashing down. So we just had to kind of like find other ways. And then on the business side, especially, like it was just not working. Like it was just not working, because like the community was a big part of that. And then even just to kind of keep the business alive and just not die completely, we were definitely not kind of making enough revenue to pay either ourselves or the rest of the team, or be able to do any of those things. The event were like a big part of what we're doing. And so of course the whole rental side of things, especially that first month or two, I think, like nothing happened. Everybody just stopped completely. So we had to kind of like find some ways. And so we had to focus a little bit more on like the business side of things. So that was really lucky, because it was at the same time that we kind of got approached by companies like Zalando, SAP, and Pinterest. So they were very interested in the equipment and the locations that were available on Beazy, but they also wanted to collaborate with the other, the creatives directly on the platform. Well, we didn't have them on the platform, but with creatives, so photographers, filmmakers, etc., which thankfully we had in the community thanks to the event. So that's when we thought, okay, for us, this is a really good opportunity because it means we can focus on the. I'm going to try to slow down a little bit, but we could focus, I guess, on businesses, so creating content and media, etc., for the businesses. So this could be like a new revenue stream for the creative. So we're like, okay, cool. This could be very cool for the community if we manage to give to give them more job opportunities and bring more jobs to our community, etc. That could be really cool. And then for us, it was also kind of the opportunity to maybe not completely die, So that was pretty cool, but. I didn't like it, to be honest. Like, it was just bad because
it was less fun, definitely. It's just you're not dealing with creatives anymore that you can meet in the street. You're dealing with corporates and annoying administrative processes and complications at every level.
We had to focus fully on those large businesses, especially like those really large corporate companies. Yeah. That was a nightmare.
When you're trying to make a proposal and then it has to go to 10 different people on 10 different levels and they're not communicating with each other, and then it's just it takes forever comparing to dealing directly with the community. You enter a direct dialogue, I guess, with them, and it's just so much easier and faster. And
I guess freelancers probably know about this, the classic kind of dealing with client stuff, etc. Some are better than others, right? But so it was just that we had to kind of move completely away from all the community stuff and more creative and fun things to fully business things, and just kind of have to make the money work and just kind of have to pay, be able to make the revenue, be able to satisfy those larger customers, etc. That was not as fun, but it was we had to kind of go and do that for the to just kind of be able to make it, to keep it going. But then now we finally got to the point where we can go back to really fully focusing on the community. So that is really cool. So you might have seen we're starting to go back with the events, podcasts, these things, and many other things. And so it's finally starting to kind of be much more fun again, I guess. So that is pretty cool. And in the meantime, well, it was horrible. It wasn't as fun, but we learned a lot of things. And so we learned all of the things that hopefully, if we can build a tool so that creatives don't have to deal with any of that again, with all the accounting, bookkeeping, all the management, especially with those larger, when you're working with larger budgets, etc., you have quite a lot of restrictions. And so this is where, you start as a photographer, and then you realize I have to handle a whole business outside. And so these would be some of the things, when we said at the beginning, become a creative's best friend, etc. So it feels like it was annoying, but we had to make this whole detour, and now we can finally come back and hopefully better, stronger, hopefully, than before. That would be nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I just said, I think this was, and funnily enough, I came just before, 3 months before also the COVID. I think I joined something like December 2019 or something like this, and then now 4 months later.
It wasn't in the summer?
I can't remember. I think it was 2020 now that you're saying, but I think it was in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
I think I remember just we were sitting in the park. It's okay, let's do it, and then that just happened.
Yeah, that's how professional it was. My job interview. We were drinking beer at a park, and they're like, "Oh, we need someone that do what you're doing. Would you like to come along on the ride?"
I said yes. I'm like, okay, let's go. That was cool.
That was the chillest job interview I've ever had, by far. But I wanted to add that this detour we had to make, it taught us a lot on, okay, if we want to do this and we want to help the creatives, there are many creatives that they are going to have to deal with this business side, and probably as we also didn't really know much about it, and we didn't really care too much. This is something that we needed to do in order to get there, to be able to earn money out of the passion. And this is something that I think many creatives don't go forward with the creative life, because 80% of the time, if you're a photographer, you're not taking photos or editing photos. You're sending emails, you're trying to get paid via the invoice, or you're trying to find a tool to send the files, and all these taught us what it needed to make it as a creative in this business world. Because being a professional photographer or being a professional filmmaker has nothing to do with filmmaking. It's about how to get clients, how to convince them that you're worth that amount of money, that they need to pay you that amount because all your experience and everything that you can put creatively in the project. And this is how we came up with the tools, for example, So I think it was very frustrating not being able, but it was a really good learning path. And this brings me to the next question, that what is in the future for Beazy? Where we go from here?
Can I just one thing and then I'll let you. Yeah, I was just gonna say the cool thing, because we have some plans, of course. Right now, Julie's working hard, for example, on the product side of things, etc., designing. But I guess the most important thing, the coolest thing, I guess, right now, since the whole focus is on the community, and we're trying to make everything we can to really focus on the community and make it so that this is the most important part of the business, is that there are so many different possibilities, and then when it's community related stuff, so anything the community likes makes business sense all the time. So this is really cool. So now whatever people need or want or whatever, it makes sense, and so we can go in so many different directions. So I feel we have 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, maybe something like this, that we know what we want to do. We have the next couple 6, 12 months, something like this, but then afterwards it feels like anything is possible, and so there's good and bad in that, but this is really cool. So anything that makes sense for the community.
Just say in the short-term future, our goal right now is to just unify everything, because we're a little bit all over the place. There's stuff everywhere, especially on our platform, on our site, that's not very clear, and it's really hard to understand as a creative what you can actually do with Beazy when you just land on www.beazy.co. So our goal is really to make it as clear as possible and to give access, a very clean transition from one tool to the other, and really access everything that you can, that we make available online. So that's the goal, tech-wise, I guess, platform-wise, but then on everything that is going to happen inside the community and offline, that's going to be really exciting. Maybe we can talk about the ambassador program. I don't know if you guys want to...
Can let you talk.
Yeah?
Maybe just one thing on the unification, and I keep saying the one thing, sorry. And then I'll let you do the ambassador thing. But it was just, the unification. Right now, the goal would be so that freelancers, agencies, so creators of all types can just simply log into Beazy and kind of handle all your business directly on Beazy. So you have, of course, all the bookkeeping, all the invoicing, but then all the tools that you're going to manage that you're going to use to manage all your projects on a daily basis. So, for example, you have all the task managers, CRMs, all your contact lists, you have all your projects, you have all your files, everything you need to handle your job as a freelancer. So you don't need to use any other tools. You have everything in one place, from negotiation to communication to management to everything else. And then that one time, and you even have more revenue streams, so you can make money from renting out your equipment, your locations, getting hired for jobs, so applying to other jobs, etc. And then when you have a project, so TFP or paid or whatever, just one click, book the models you need, book the locations you need, all those different things. So the goal would be so that life becomes much easier, one platform for everything creatives need, and then over time we can build some more stuff. And then one of the exciting things, I guess, right now is the ambassador.
Yeah, and this I can talk a bit more, as Julia was saying, that just before COVID happened, we had planned events in different cities, and we never had the chance to get back to it because of the restrictions. And now, after we are over with I don't want to say over, because I'm it's still not over. It feels like a little bit, but we don't have the restrictions on number of people and everything, and we can go back to planning in all these events. And we are such a small team, so we need the help of the people from the community. So what we're doing right now also is launch our ambassador program, that is basically trying to find creatives that want to help us build this local community of creatives in your city or in state. So we have a few cities planned for the future. Right now we have a big community here in Berlin. We want to expand to another German cities like Hamburg or Stuttgart, Frankfurt, Cologne, but not only in Germany also. We also want to expand to all, because we are also a very international team. So, for example, I'm Brazilian, Julia is Swiss, Jonas from Mozambique, we have Dani from Italy, so we have people from Spain, France, Italy, all over, and Poland. We have people from many different countries that can just get a trip back home and try to create this community there as well, because the idea is also to connect the creatives all over the globe, right? If I'm going to Barcelona for a trip and I want to get some photos, maybe I connect to someone to ask for a nice photo spot, you know. So
it's also an excuse for us to travel, but you know.
Yeah. There is always good to have an excuse to travel, yeah. But yeah, so if you're listening to this and you feel like, oh, I would love to be part of this community and help, just, yeah, please reach out and we're going to make it happen. And now we have the first event outside of Berlin probably is going to be Hamburg and Porto. So we're starting to go back to the roots, you know, and trying to be more like for this growing the community and expanding not only in Berlin and Germany, but also in first Europe and then the world.
No, that's really exciting, especially I think we made, was it last week or 2 weeks ago when we made post, you know, in the community asking for like event ideas, etc. I think the ambassador is going to be cool just for even just having more ideas and more things happening, because every time we have our own ideas and we always come up with like more ideas of different types of events, workshops, etc. But as soon as you ask the community, realize people have like really good, crazy ideas, you know. It's like having more local people kind of like managing their own local community, etc. It just gets better and better. And then it would be super interesting to see that maybe if you go to, I don't know, Lisbon compared to like Amsterdam, maybe the different local communities kind of behave completely differently, have different events that work better and people like different things, etc. That would be super fun to just to see. Yeah, then you can do challenges and stuff. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, and then one other thing that, like, right now we focus a lot on the creative networking kind of events, just bringing people together. But I remember that, like, one of the last events I went also as a member of the community was a workshop with Kate. She was like the IEM photographer of the year. And I learned so much. Like, it's the educational part, I think. Like, it's something that I love.
Skylum, right?
Yeah, the one with Skylum. And yeah, like, I'm just excited to see how many different partnerships with Skylum, for example, that we had this event. How many different brands, how many different types of education material, education events we can get and yeah, help the creative community live out of their passion and be more creative.
No, yeah, that is the cool part. So I guess maybe like the one request, I guess, you know, to people listening or something is like if people have any like ideas on the event side, but then everything else as well, like what do you need and what can we build, etc. Because like we have a little list of features that are coming soon. I think we're publishing things on the community we have the community platform, I guess, you know, we have like different channels and there's a what's new platform, etc. We publish some updates over there, but then very often people have like ideas we never even thought about, you know. So like if you have any ideas, any things that you don't see there that you don't think we're working on, etc., just let us know, because that's always very exciting, and more often than not it's really good stuff, you know. So yeah, we want to see that, we want to learn. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I think that's a really way to wrap up our first episode. I think we covered what is Beazy, where we came from, and what are the plans for the future. Is there any last words you want to say to whoever is listening? You just said about the ideas. And
I would just say, like, one thing is just, if you're listening, if you feel like you have any idea or any thoughts or anything that you want to tell us, just don't be shy, because that was the whole point of this community, is just be open-minded, and we're welcoming anything, any thoughts, anyone new, and we're just always very open to new ideas and new things to do.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
I think you've been doing too many YouTube videos lately.
I thought we had to put that somewhere in the middle.
Okay, I guess that's it. We're going to wrap up for the first episode. Thank a lot for listening. If you have any ideas for future topics you want to listen us to talk about, we have some guests lined up with not only the creative community, but also some brands. So if your brands want to be here and like talk about something, how you can make the creative community better, we are open. And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys in the next episode, and until then, keep creating.
Nice. See you soon.